Alright. So yeah, maybe the last clip we'll go over before we start this gaming stream on Stardew is watching this official trailer for Cirque du Soleil Crystal, which is a show that we watched recently, and maybe I'll give like a few brief thoughts about it. But yeah, yeah, I just thought it was a kind of a cool show. I know, yeah. Food is motivating to you, Pinhead. I agree. It's yeah, one of the simple pleasures in life. Yeah, and definitely something to enjoy. Gotta enjoy food. All right, let's check out Cirque du Soleil Crystal. So just briefly, Cirque du Soleil is a production company founded in Montreal, kind of with a French name for Circus of the Sun, and they specialize in something what is known as the contemporary circus movement, and they're actually a really huge production company that has like big shows that tour across the United States and Europe and have resident shows in Las Vegas, and used to have some resident shows in New York City. And yeah, this one in particular is called Cirque du Soleil Crystal, and it's just a touring one that takes place on ice skating rinks across different regions that it's touring around. And we just saw this one recently, just saw it yesterday even. We got some tickets in advance. They were pretty affordable. Not unheard of, I would say, but still moderately priced, I guess. And yeah, I just thought, I don't know, thought we'd check it out and just give some feedback on what I thought of it. So yeah, let's check it out. Sorry. All right, clap, 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 clap. So that was cool. What to say? Yes, there was a lot of choreography. Yes. What I'll say is that I overall thought it was like one of my favorite shows that toured and visited the New York City area. I'm based in New York, and yeah, there have been a number of different shows that like passed in and out of New York City, whether they be touring or like temporary uh, resident shows that were like at Radio City that like ended up moving. Um, there hasn't really been a Cirque du Soleil show that like has ever really taken root in New York, unless you might count like Blue Man Group, which was acquired by Cirque du Soleil, but is technically maybe not made by Cirque du Soleil or whatever. Yeah, but all that's to say is that yeah, I feel like there hasn't been a lot of like Cirque du Soleil shows that have really resonated with me in that like have visited the New York City area. I feel like the most top tier Cirque du Soleil shows I've seen had been like ones that were like I don't know, like resident shows in Las Vegas, or like footage I'd seen of like La Nuba, which was in Orlando for a while, which has since been replaced by Drawn to Life. But or like we're touring shows like Alegria, which like I don't know if they ever visited New York City, but I never got a chance to see them. But yeah, I've seen different ones in New York. Zarkana was at Radio City. Ovo was like at Barclays Center, I believe, and Crystal was at UBS Arena recently, and I feel like this one I had the most positive experience with of those three, and for numerous reasons. One being that like as a baseline, they were doing a lot of interesting stunts using the ice and like skating rink as a genre, like just like that add a whole new dimension of like performance to it that like I feel like you hadn't really seen like in a more traditional like circus. Like I feel like ovo was kind of like maybe like just more standard acrobatics and stuff like that. This like added a new layer of it things to it when they had more like things to work out with skating. I feel like the story in this was like more I don't know, in general compared to a lot of other Cirque du Soleils, it was like a story that felt like it was more straightforward, but featured a more followable protagonist. That being said, it's still like kind of just suspends some of that at different points where they just kind of go into a routine and just say, oh, it's generally inner subconscious or whatever. So, uh, yeah, it don't come to this for like a very obvious story. But in general, there's just like enough of a narrative framework for things to just be shown around and stuff. They do have a lot of interesting set pieces, like Pinhead is mentioning. There's like a lot of choreography in this, like sequences like this, where they have a bunch of like dancers and skating performers dance at the same time. I feel like they actually have a lot of these kinds of segments in it, where like it's not even about like particularly technical acrobatics, but it's more just about like performances and dance numbers and stuff like that. And I think those have like some decent mileage, but like I don't know, I feel like they kind of go a little too far with that at certain points. I'm like, I kind of just want more acrobatics routines and stuff, but they have a good variation between it. Like for instance, like this performance was like a really great number where they had some really cool acrobatics, and this sequence is probably one of the highlights of the show, where they like turn the ice skating rink into a skating rink. And I think if I learned correctly, like they had to like figure out a way to uh, have like the effect of like a skating park on an ice skating rink. So that was something that they had to like uniquely create for this show. So I think it really paid off really well when they had the performers do the stunts and stuff. So big kudos to them. But yeah, other than that, like I felt like sometimes they would just have like kind of cool segments that were uh like choreographed dance numbers, but like at certain points it would kind of go on a little too long, and like I would kind of wish for like a little more oomph with the performance. But overall, like number, the ratio of like show stopping numbers to like kind of things slowing down for a bit, it's actually like pretty good compared to like some other performances. Ovo, I think, was one of their. I had like more mixed reactions to that one compared to this, and I think that in my memory of this one, I believe this one was even better than Zarkana was, but or at least on that level. Um, Maybe one of my bigger criticisms is of the music in this show. Um, like sometimes it would just kind of be like really tonally off from the performance. Um, but at other points, like the music would be really moving and touching and stuff. So it would be kind of mixed there. And always the live performers are a highlight, but sometimes like they would use like I think in the most egregious stuff would be like when they would use like pop music, and it would just kind of like sort of come out of nowhere, and it'd be like a pre-recorded soundtrack, and it would not even fit tonally with the show. So those moments would like be a negative point for me. But overall, I think it was a show worth watching, and I had a good time enjoying it. So um, yeah, I enjoyed my experience, and it was pretty moderately priced going to the new UBS Arena to check it out. So yeah, if people get a chance to, and it's not too expensive, and like it's you know, you get pretty decent seats to see it, I would recommend it for sure. So yeah, um, not a bad Cirque show if you ever decide to go to a Cirque show. Not the level of something like that's like, a work of art. I would call a work of art like something like, uh, you know, O in Las Vegas's Bellagio, but definitely like something that's I would say like is pretty good and worth the price of admission. And yeah, I feel like it's hard to find an experience that can be worth this value in a place like New York City. Um, like comparatively, we watched like New Kids on the Block a few weeks earlier for like a similar price at the same arena, and that experience was like, okay, we're happy to see Rick Astley and stuff like that, and that was like fun. But like some of the other routines were like a little less exciting and stuff. But this one was like overall like much more higher production value and like a good price. So I recommend this one in my experience.